my two favorite co-hosts of all time, Matthew Sponhour and Theo Ash, and welcome back to another episode of Stay Hot, presented by our good friends over at Little Caesars Pizza. We're Stay Hot, they're staying ready with some hot and ready pizza for you all NFL season long. We don't really have a whole lot of NFL going on today other than the Pro Bowl, which, by the way, first time gritty, Matt, was Tyreek Hill.
Nice.
No one saw that one coming. I saw people in the...
Some people saw it coming.
Some people did? Oh, wow. They had some balls to make that pick. But we're not going to talk about the Pro Bowl today. We're going to do a quick 10-pick mock draft. For those that have been watching our live streams on Tuesday, we've been going through some of the upcoming draft prospects. So today we thought we would just go through each of the first 10 picks and just make some picks. Theo says he has some weird ones up his sleeve, so I'm excited to see. I'm excited to see what he has in store for us. But before we get into that, Matt, Theo, how are you doing on this glorious Sunday evening? It's the first time we haven't recorded at like midnight on a Sunday in what, like 3-4 months?
It's the first Sunday without football in 3-4 months. It's sad. My day is empty. My heart is empty. I've just been watching some more 49ers film and some draft prospects film, which has been exciting. I got into some of the top tackles last night and then looked at some corners up there today. So it's been fun. I love draft mode.
You were a fan of Arnold from Bama?
Yes.
I'll be real with you. I haven't sat down and watched the film of him yet, but I'm just watching the game test. Screams that he can't play, man. I hate to say it. Again, I haven't watched the film. I'm not going to say it's my official opinion, but
I might say his name at some point in our top 10 mock today.
He's not even, I know for a fact he's not corner one.
I think I haven't totally sorted out exactly where my corners fall yet. I mean, I've done some preliminary watchings of them. Same thing with Alton and Fashanu, the tackles. Like, I'm not totally in love with them yet, but I've only like watched a game or so of those tackles. So again, it's very early, but I thought that Arnold, I don't know, he looked like he could go super high. Like, just he's tall and he's lanky and he's like running with people in man coverage in the Georgia game.
That's very interesting.
So
that's very interesting. We'll get into that.
We'll get into it. But anyway.
Oh, this is going to be fun. I know this is going to be fun.
At any rate, that will be later. For now, I'm doing all right. I'm missing football Sunday. I got a fish tank. I got a fish tank that I'm setting up. I had to order a shit ton of rocks from online. I can't just go out and find them, I guess, because I don't know if it's like good for the water, and there's just not that many rocks around me living in a city.
It's not.
So I had to order rocks, but I can't order just like, it's not a very big fish tank. I can't order just like one rock. It's like 6 or 7. Like, it's small. I didn't want a big one because I might, you never know when I might move apartments. So it's like, I can't deal with like a 30-gallon.
You are always on the move.
I can't deal with a 30-gallon. So I just got a little one. But I had to order like 25 pounds of rocks because that's like the only way. Rocks and sand. And we were walking out of my apartment, with my girlfriend. And then she's like, who got that box labeled like rocks and sand?
You got 25 pounds
that would
of
be
gravel
me.
for a 6-gallon tank.
Well, there's nothing else I can do. Like, that's the size that I can.
Smart.
The smallest size they had was 25 gallons.
Well, I got two. Well, I wanted two different kinds of rocks, which was the problem. So it's not like
2 different kinds of rocks. I did not order 25 pounds of gravel. Where you didn't go to? You're telling me on Amazon you could not find gravel in quantities less than 25.
Well, it's some sand and some rocks. It's 25. The whole package combined was like 25 pounds. And then there was a certain type of sand and a certain type of rock that I thought looked nicer than what I could find at PetSmart. I bought the tank at PetSmart. But as far as what to
All
fill
I'm
the tank
saying,
with,
Theo,
I
I don't
wanted.
ever want to hear you giving me shit for my couch again.
He's got you.
I'm going. Well, okay.
No,
Yes, that's valid.
Oh man, Matt, how are you doing?
I'm good. Just pretty regular day. I'm excited to go to Vegas tomorrow, and I'm excited to get.
It'll be
into this
nice to go
mock
to
draft.
Vegas and have like something to do. Usually, when we go to Vegas, we we have like summer league, and our job is to just like watch.
Usually when we go to summer league, we get to Vegas, and then it's like somehow going to the actual games is impossible for us. There's always something in the way because we've got to like wait around to try to. I don't know. Next time we go to summer league, I promise you, we're going to more games. I just want to go to the games.
Yes,
it's the only thing I want to do there, man. I mean, I want to, I want to fool around, and do whatever else later. But like
the Shaq party.
I want to see. I want to see the rookies.
Anyway, yes, that is exciting. But let's get into this mock.
Let's do it.
Steph Curry makes you believe that you can do anything. I mean, look at me. He has me believing that I can shoot threes when I play pickup basketball. And the Curry 11s are specifically designed with ultimate bounce, grip, and stability to allow everyone to do their thing. New generations of ball players are coming up and showing the basketball world that the old rules do not apply. The future is exciting, fast, positive, and hungry. This NBA season, rock your favorite player and rep his shoes on and off the court. The Curry 11s are perfect for both the committed and casual ballers. The UA Warp Tech makes the shoe feel like it was designed for your feet, locked in no matter what you do on the court. Stop in your tracks with dual density UA Flow cushioning and traction, an emergency brake that you don't even notice. Steph's 11th signature shoe steps into the second decade of his sneaker career, pulling colorway inspiration from the wonders of a positive and modernized future on and off the court. Take these kicks with you when you leave the scrimmage and rep UA wherever you go. Do your thing. Change the game. The Curry 11 Future Curry is available now at currybrand.com.
Hey everyone, quick ticket buying update. Say goodbye to the stress with Game Time. Now I know we usually talk about that fantastic $20 off with the code BLADENK, but hold on, because we've got something big for you here today. How about a whopping $100 off your ticket to the big game in Vegas? Yeah, you heard that right. You can use the code VEGAS100, available for all users and not just the new ones. Now, realistically, $100 off a ticket worth a couple of thousand might not sound like a fortune, but hey, still $100. And guess what you can do with that $100 in Vegas? The possibilities are endless. Now, here's the kicker. $100 off the top of Game Time's lowest price guarantee. No kidding. See your seat view, get all in prices up front, and snag the best deal because Game Time is truly committed to your peace of mind. So here's the deal. Download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code VEGAS100 for $100 off your big game ticket. Terms apply, and remember, this offer is for all users, but wait. We're not going to forget our regular deal. You can still use the code BLADENK and get an additional $20 off, just like you would any other event. So don't miss out on last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed, by downloading Game Time today and make every event unforgettable. Cheers to stress-free ticketing and extra cash in Vegas. Little Caesars, the official pizza sponsor of the NFL, knows football fans love a great game and a great deal. So we're tossing out a challenge and calling it Pick 6 for slices and sticks. If there's a Pick 6 during Super Bowl 58, fans who accepted the challenge on our app will get a free slices and sticks. Period. We've partnered with NFL legend Derek Brooks of the Tampa Bay Bucks because he knows all about the pick six, having returned one during Super Bowl 37. That play led to a 44-yard touchdown and a win for the Buccaneers. So accept the challenge today and win some pizza. I mean, might as well just start off at number one. Pretty good place to start. I think we're all going to have the same pick here. Chicago Bears, they're on the clock. We've been talking about all offseason, what should they do with the number one pick? I think we're all in agreement that it's Caleb Williams.
Well, are we all in agreement that it's Caleb, or
As
are we
opposed
all
to
in
May?
agreement
Okay,
that it's a quarterback
It's a
and they're not
quarterback.
trading it?
I guess that's fair.
I guess I'm still open to the idea of it being May, but I'd say for now I'm still on team Caleb. But I'm certainly not somebody who's like Caleb and you're silly if you think May, or I can't be talked
Right.
into May. That's where I'm sitting at right now.
Yeah. So we have Caleb all to the Bears. I think that in previous episodes, I've ranted about why it makes sense to trade Fields and keep this pick, which was controversial before the Packers game. And then the Packers game happened. And I think most people are on that side now.
I've been monitoring Bears Twitter, and it seems like the pro quarterback in the draft people are winning. I still see some arguments against it, like if you trade the pick, you could get so much more, so many more assets, the opportunity cost, basically. But I think that's ridiculous because you're never going to look back at this and say, well, we had the worst of the two quarterbacks, but
yeah,
I think that of what we did, like, nah, it's not going to play out like that. I'm afraid you got to get the better of the two guys or three guys or whatever.
Yeah, and I think fans are a bit impatient, and that's valid because the Bears have been bad for so long. But you could get good fast if you traded the picks for players and got another DJ Moore caliber guy, and then you wouldn't have to restart with like a new rookie learning a new offense. You've seen it so many times. If you're a Bears fan, it has got to just feel, after watching two busts, right? Like, taking a rookie quarterback means a couple years of bad play. And I think they're just ready to move past that stage and just get to the quarterback has had some chemistry now. Like, all of that time has not been wasted. And that's the main appeal to keeping Fields. But I think what you got to understand is, like, there are going to be immediate results when you draft Caleb Williams. Like, it's not going to look exactly like Fields did when he came in, or Trubisky. This is a different type of prospect that you're drafting in a different slot to pick at. Fields fell in the draft. He was about to fall out of the top 10 if they didn't trade up for him. And they did that because he got stuck on the first read, and he would run, but he wouldn't necessarily, he'd take big hits and he didn't make people miss like Caleb does. And he just didn't kind of have that feel for space that I feel like Caleb does. Like, he just wasn't as good of a prospect. Caleb can hold the ball, but I don't think Caleb can hold the ball and miss reads for sure. But it's not because he's just staring down the first one. It's because he is such a creator and is so good out of structure that, like, that's what he's looking to do. That's not really what it felt like watching Fields. It was like first read, ball out quick to first read. Like, when I was scouting Fields, I worried about his ability to get through the whole field. I don't really worry about that with Caleb. It's more just, will the huge plays translate? And I think that they will.
Yeah, and Fields did fall out of the top 10. He went 11.
Did he go to 11?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, even worse.
And I agree. And Trubisky, I mean, is not Caleb Williams. So yeah, those two things are very different. I 100% agree. Trubisky, however, is the same as Drake May because they went to the same college.
They did. Go
but that's why we have Williams here at number 1 and not May.
Yeah, I mean, if you want proof of concept, just look at how the Texans fared this year after, drafting C.J. Stroud and how much that improved their offense. I mean,
and the Bears passed up on that opportunity to draft C.J. Stroud, right?
And
right.
This is the reality of drafting quarterbacks that I think a lot of people disagree with. Actually, if you hit, you will know very quickly. Almost always, or on average, a lot quicker than you think you might. You look around the league and all the franchise quarterbacks and all the top guys, they were good quicker than you might expect. You weren't going into year 4 as a question mark for any of them.
Right.
And with Fields, like, I understand there's certainly guys who have been worse. There's certainly year 4 quarterbacks I've had less hope for. And it's not impossible that he does take, a step next year. But you just don't get the opportunity to take a top quarterback again like this.
Yeah.
Very often. And I
it's
think
it's
passing it up for a
risk.
long shot's something only a team that doesn't have that opportunity would do.
Yeah. And I think it's kind of a big risk. And I think we've talked about this before. It's kind of a big risk to hold on to Fields, because if it doesn't work out, then you are literally shit out of luck. You have him coming up on a contract
that's what
year.
I think Bowles is probably going to end up thinking, where it's like, if I keep Fields, I could look wrong in 3 weeks through the season. It could look ugly almost immediately.
And what did we talk about with if you were Fields and they decided to keep you would immediately ask for an extension, like a big extension.
Right. You have all the leverage if you're Fields and they keep you. There's no way that they can pass up on Caleb and then not extend Fields. That would be the biggest disaster. So price of a brick goes up double if you stick with Fields. So it just doesn't make any sense to keep him. I think Caleb is extremely special. I think when I see people go through his film and say, look at this read that he missed. I mean, I could do that for Mahomes against the Ravens, right? When there was the play to Kelsey where he ran around and saw it at the last second. He could have thrown the check down. He could have thrown it for Rice over the middle and completed it, but he decided to do that, and it worked. And there are times where he bails from you could go through Allen's film or Mahomes's film or probably Lamar's film and be like, man, he created here when he should have or could have just stood in the pocket and thrown the pass. And you could probably get a couple of those clips together and make it look like they can't perform from the pocket, but you're ignoring the pressure that Caleb is putting on defenses when he holds the ball. It's good when he holds the ball because his elusiveness is as good as it could possibly be. His accuracy, no matter how his body is moving, is super, super stellar. His innate calmness running around is crazy. How he keeps his eyes up. He's not just looking to panic and tuck it and run, or panic and hit the check down that's covered or something like that. He's really looking to maximize absolutely everything. So I think USC's offense lends itself to looking ugly at times because it's a bit just everybody run around. Hopefully Waldron can get it looking a little bit more Geno Smith-esque like it was in Seattle, with a very adept drop back passing game, a very efficient drop back passing game, like he had back in 2022. Not so much this last year, but that was the offensive line's fault, I think, more than anything else.
Yeah. But Caleb to the Bears. Second pick is Washington, the Commanders. And
this one's the easiest one probably in the whole thing.
I assume
the
we're
Commanders.
we're not rocking with Howell going forward.
We're not rocking with Howell. God bless him. Not bad for a day 3 guy though. Truly.
But you have the opportunity to take May, I think.
But May, the only, not the only negative, but the big reason why people will be low on him is because he went to UNC. Outside of that, he reads things out well. Right. He's got a heck of an arm. He can really run. He likes to create. I mean, the full package for him, right? I'm 100% confident you put him in one of the high-powered college football offenses, he would have been going for Heisman this year. And I just don't think UNC had that this season. This isn't some sort of weirdo project. We're going to have to see some development. I think he's pretty ready. And I think in Washington, I think they can put a pretty good team around him quicker than people might expect. They're not some way far off team, at least by the standards of teams that have the second overall pick and get a quarterback like Mayen, right? So, I mean, I'm excited to see it. And I think it's a slam dunk. You just take whoever the Bears don't quarterback wise pick for Washington.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think that the coaching search in Washington went a bit awry with Ben Johnson being retained and then going with Dan Quinn. Definitely felt like a disappointing consolation prize, not top shelf, but I think that can all be erased when Drake May comes to town.
Yeah, just work to talk yourself into that if you're a Washington fan and wait for them to pick May.
Just a guy with impeccable pocket presence, like slides around, keeps his eyes downfield, can hit things in structure after stepping up, while also being able to tuck it and run and being really fast. And his arm is ridiculous. So many balls up the seam, between defenders,
and this is
ball
why
accuracy
it's
is
really
really
a question
nice.
with Williams and him, because May is just such a complete prospect. He really is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
he can do a little bit of everything.
They're both fantastic. Really, the nitpick on really the big criticism on May should be that he didn't transfer to a big time school to win a title. That means he's actually not a competitor. He doesn't care about winning, man.
No, he doesn't care about winning at all. But still, they were in the top. It's not like he was on some bum team. They were in the top 25 for a lot of this season.
But if he wanted to win a title, he would have been a Buckeye. That's
played
all
a
I'm saying.
bowl game versus Oregon, which was great tape. All of his weapons left, and he was still putting great film out there. I definitely worry about Washington's ceiling with Dan Quinn as opposed to Ben Johnson. I worry a little bit about.
That was a questionable hire.
Yeah, I worry a lot, I should say, about their offensive line, but there's not much you can do about that. You got to take May, and then
actually they should take Joe Alt
at second overall.
I don't know. They've got assets to build things out. I agree. The offensive line's bad, but they're not totally weapon devoid. And I could have a quarterback.
Here's a question.
The offensive line, okay.
Going back to the Bears, what has Fields proven that Howell hasn't? There's all this talk about the Bears and how they could trade the pick and how they need to take or there's a possibility that they don't take a quarterback number one and keep their guy. I'm like, what has Fields shown that Howell? Why isn't this a conversation that Washington is having? And the answer is obvious: is you should take a quarterback, right? But how different is it for Bears fans?
Well, the reason why Bears fans are having this conversation and Washington fans aren't, and some Washington fans really do like Howell still, but Justin Fields was drafted essentially with 2 first-round draft picks, and
I guess so.
Howell was taken with a fifth rounder. Fields is also a higher ceiling guy than Howell because of his athleticism.
But Howell's got some athleticism too, I just think
not like Justin Fields.
Not like Fields, you're right, but
not like Justin Fields.
I look at how Howell and Fields performed in all the metrics this year, and really just on tape as well.
We had a higher sack
and I'm like,
percentage.
these guys are really.
Howell, right?
I'm like, these guys are really kind of this similar in my mind in terms of if I'm ranking quarterbacks, Howell and Fields in 2023 aren't miles apart, but for one, the fan base is completely divided, and for the other, I just don't see any kind of controversy. And I realize the sunk cost of Fields and his ceiling is higher, but the debate between those two franchises and whether they should take a quarterback is so out of sync. I just want to shake Bears Twitter and be look at Washington. Their quarterback was 22nd in EPA completion percentage, composite, and your guy was 21st. They're not having these discussions.
Maybe they are. Who knows?
Not that I can see. I saw Bears fans.
Are you tapped into Washington Twitter? Be honest.
I don't know. I don't want to be tapped into anybody's. I don't want to be tapped into any.
Matt, were you asking about Sam Howell's sack rate?
Whose was higher for Fields? I looked it up, but we really should be looking at pressure to sack, and I'm not going to bother to do that right now. So
Howell almost broke the record for most times sacked in a season.
Yeah, but he also had way more dropbacks, way more dropbacks than Fields.
He did.
Fields had the higher sack percentage, but
Okay,
that's what I'm saying. I'm how there's all this controversy, not only from Bears fans either, like just from NFL fans in general, like Fields versus Howell. And it's like, or Fields versus Caleb. But like Howell versus Caleb has no debate. And it's kind of a similar debate.
It's just a sunk cost. It really is.
Yeah.
And the fact that, you know.
Anyway, let's move on to number 3. This is where I think we could start to deviate potentially.
Okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
I've seen a lot of people take Jaden Daniels at the 3rd pick for New England. And I guess I don't know how you guys feel about Jaden. I suspect we're all Marvin Harrison Jr. here.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, are we deviating from that here, anybody?
No, I'm not picking anybody. Come on.
Look, I don't have a problem with Daniels, and like, I mean, we've seen him move when we watched like some of the LSU receivers. That man's lightning in a bottle for sure. But I think the one
number
thing
3 is pretty rich.
Number 3 is rough, and the Patriots I think have gone longer without a really high level weapon than they have.
That's part of it. The Patriots' needs for weapons are like just as big, you know. And Marv is such a slam dunk, and Daniels totally a first round guy. Totally, I think. But like at number 3 is really rich, and I don't know. I might just take Marv, and I'm guessing that he's going to be so good that no one's going to really be mad at you.
Mayo said something really interesting. He said, they asked him, like, what are you looking at number 3? And he said, we're going to take a great player at a very important position, is what he said. And a lot of people were like, oh, Daniels, because that's quarterback. And I'm like, I don't think you would just say at this point in the process, it's so easy. Like, maybe it means nothing at all, but
I think
I'm like, that kind of tells me that, like, if you
it's
are
the
like
3rd overall pick, I think he's like kind of joking, but also the way that it lines up this year. Who are the possibilities? All the receivers, the tackles, and the quarterbacks. He's not going to say whoever he's picking isn't great.
Maybe he's just completely. I kind of read into that as like they're taking Marv, but you're probably right that he's just saying bullshit. Now that I say that out loud, I'm being silly. But anyway, what do we like about Marv at number 3? Let's talk about his skill set a little bit.
Well, is there anything not to like? This is the real question.
There's one thing to like about Marv in particular. Buckeye. No, but God damn it. I mean, he's just a freakishly complete prospect. I mean, a guy who can run routes like him, with a frame like his, at his size, with his play speed, is just ridiculous, man. I know the production wasn't where Rome Odunze's and Malik Neighbors was this season.
But he had Kyle McCord at quarterback.
He was also not playing with a Heisman level quarterback.
Right.
And McCord, I cannot stress enough.
He played with
the
a guy
more
that
you
transferred
watch
to
Ohio
Syracuse,
State film,
man.
the more you watch, Marvin Harrison film or whoever it is on Ohio State, the worse you will think McCord is.
That's how I felt.
And lower on him. I don't think that he is even an average college quarterback. I think he put up average college stats in one of the best situations that any college QB had been in. Frankly, if you're not a Heisman or around Heisman level candidate, quarterbacking for OSU, you suck. You probably aren't very good. Because that's just, I mean, a whole nother thing, but that's just like a passing offense's ranking, essentially. You have to drag down Ohio State's offense so much to make your personal quarterback numbers out of range for anyone to give you like, oh yeah, this quarterback's doing so-and-so. Right. Yeah. So I think I'm so low on him. And I just think Marv, it's almost comical how, went to the school that produces wide receivers. His dad's in the Hall of Fame. Everything has lined up for him.
I just realized this. I've got a book next to me called Complete Wide Receiver. His dad is on the cover. And he's also that.
I saw someone say that Marvin Harrison was not a good route runner. And
I don't.
This guy who wrote this book, who coached him, seems to disagree.
Yeah, I'm like,
Jay Norvell does not agree with that.
Marv, bro, what?
And I just think there's not much he can't do. He had some drop problems this year. If I have to bring up a negative, this is true. He did have some concentration drops. I brought this up on Twitter, and they treated it like I was like lying or something. I saw him, man. I don't know what to tell you. But he absolutely cooked everybody serious he went up against.
Michigan. He put a bunch of great reps on film. Like he made number 4 for Penn State King. Like, and he dog walked him. Like he put him on a leash.
Supposed to be. King had a real bad year. He was supposed to be like a top pick right up here with all the other corners. I don't know where he ranks now, but it's far lower. And he had a terrible game against Marvin Harrison. Although they had multiple corners. They switched on him. It didn't make.
Doesn't matter.
He's just too good.
His releases are just absolutely filthy. Like his play strength is so good. Like guys try to get physical with him down the field, and it just doesn't affect him at all. He still makes any catch like through contact, or is capable of making any catch through contact. Just better mover, in my opinion, than Rome Odunze, who is also super polished and a great catcher of the football. I think those two are kind of similar, honestly. But like Marv is, I think he's listed. That could be a lie. He's a bit taller and he moves just better. Like he's a little more explosive.
Yeah,
he's faster.
We'll see. We haven't seen his, because him and Rome and Neighbors, they weren't at the Senior Bowl, of course. So we haven't seen. We haven't seen their measurements, but yes.
But he's listed at 6'4", and he moves like he's way smaller than that.
He looks 1 inch taller than Rome on film. You know, so true, man.
I can tell. So yeah, there's this. It's like It's like the college equivalent to watching Justin Jefferson, really, where it's just like the guy is
right.
Tough to poke. It's tough to poke any hole in his game. Like maybe he's not Tyreek Hill level fast, but like he's super fast. He's gonna
run a crazy 40.
He's not like the best after the catch. He's definitely the worst of the big 3 after the catch, but like he still has a little something there after the catch. Like he can do some things with the ball in his hands. So it's really
the more I think about it, the only thing that I really care about with receivers is, do they catch the football? Like, can you get open and can you catch the football? Those are more important than I think what you do after the catch. Like guys that you're like, well, if we just get the ball in his hands, he can do it. It's like, how many of those guys pan out?
After the catch is a lot of dressing. You know, it's not the meat and potatoes of what makes a wide receiver good. I 100% agree.
Yeah, but misdirection, like he does head fakes, like he manipulates corners. When he presses vertical, like they flip their hips, like they're worried about the deep speed, and then he just settles down. Like McCord, you're right, Matt. Like the more I watched him, the more I'm like, man, his timing really isn't good. Like, man, his arms, man, his mechanics, his accuracy is really bad in all levels. Like I was like,
yeah, man.
I thought he was like average when I watched just Ohio State on TV because, you know, it's Ohio State, and he did make like a couple nice throws this year, but the more I watched him, you're exactly right. That's exactly the reaction I had was like, man, I really don't like McCord. Where did he transfer to?
Syracuse.
Okay. We will never hear from him again is my prediction.
He's going to listen to this episode, take it to heart, and he's going to become the next Tom Brady.
So let's move on to number 4, the Cardinals.
Yeah.
Yes.
We're out of the big 3 at this point.
We're out of the big 3. So now it gets interesting.
Yes. Theo, are you going to surprise us here, or is it going to be later?
Next pick, I'm going to surprise you.
Okay.
This is Rome Odunze for me.
This is Rome Odunze for me as well.
Okay, so we're all on page once again.
The first 4. Don't worry, listeners. I'm throwing a huge wrench next pick. This episode of Stay Hot is brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. It's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you just pick more or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. And they also now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. A couple weeks ago, I hit a big one on Prize Picks with my Browns versus Jets play with Njoku and Flacco and Breece Hall, and you can too. And by the way, if Patrick Mahomes throws for more than just 1 yard during the big game, you win on Prize Picks. So head on over to Prize Picks, use the code STAYHOT, and they will double your first deposit, or prizepicks.com/stayhot and use code STAYHOT for a first deposit match up to $100. So what are you waiting for? Head on over there. That would be a great time to run an ad, but let's do a Dunze.
That would be a great time. I'll make sure to throw that in post.
The name Larry Fitzgerald crossed my mind when I was watching him, and then I read Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, and he compared him to Larry, and I was like, okay, he's just got amazing hands, like maybe even better than Marv's. Like he catches absolutely fucking everything, dude.
It's bizarre, and it's like it's just one of those things where you watch him and you're like, okay, well, this guy has amazing hands and ball skills, and he's a freak after the catch. How could that player possibly not be awesome?
And he's a great route runner.
Possibly, yeah. And he's a great, like, even if, he's a great route runner too. I mean, he's about as complete a package as you could have. These top 3 receivers, I was thinking about this, and I didn't actually seriously go back and look, but when is the last time that the top 3 receivers in a draft class were this good of prospects? It's
I don't
been
know.
a minute.
Maybe 2014. That's when everybody
receiver, and like
2014. Yeah, 2014 would be up there. All I'm saying is, if it went quarterback, wide receiver, would not shock me. Would not shock me at all.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Yeah, I think Neighbors is a bit more athletic than Adunze. Like he has kind of that high end speed and like speed through the break. Adunze is like 6'3". Like he's a tall guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's not as compact and like speedy and explosive to me as like a 6', 200 receiver like Neighbors. Mm-hmm. But for a guy his size, it's pretty damn good. And he certainly put some distance between himself and the corners in multiple occasions that I watched. Like they would give him some of these crossing routes.
I didn't think top end speed was a problem for him at all.
I didn't think it was a problem. I just thought it wasn't as good as I'm just saying, like, why is he to pick before Neighbors? I do think Neighbors has a little bit more home run hitting ability. Like he's faster. He's just faster, but it's not like Adunze's speed is like a major a problem really at all. I just think that
from
if
what
you're
I've seen, I think most people have Neighbors over Adunze, but I think it's really close.
I think I've seen it split. I know Bleacher Report and Derek Klassen has Neighbors above Adunze. I know Daniel Jeremiah and Nate Tice have Adunze over Neighbors.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of other. Zerloin doesn't have his pick tracker for the NFL.com out yet. So I don't know what
PFF has Neighbors above Adunze for what it's worth.
Yeah. So I've seen it pretty split amongst the experts. And I think it's kind of a flavor thing. Like if you want someone who's, Neighbors, you take Neighbors. Like he's just a different player. He's, like I said, like that faster, more explosive guy versus someone who is a tick slower, but more polished. I think, but for the Cardinals, I like the contested catch aspect of it. I think Kyler could really use a guy like Adunze.
You get a guy who could run around
Hopkins
like that,
again?
and a guy with those ball skills, and I 100% agree. I think,
and they were one of the worst contested catch teams this year. I tweeted out a bit earlier, like when Kyler was having that MVP. He lost it towards the end when he got hurt, but he was having an MVP caliber season in 2021.
There was hype at a time.
There was hype before the bye when they were like 7-0.
Absolutely.
Their 50-50 ball percentage was like closer to 50-50, and he threw a lot of them. Like there were a lot of goes and fades to Hopkins and Cliff Kingsbury's offense, and he took advantage of that. And then when D-Hop got suspended, and then it was kind of everything went off the rails towards the end. Like Kyler's production fell off and all that. So I think adding a guy who can catch those fades, you can let Kyler flex the arm, you can let him run around and just kind of throw it up, and the guy is a good dude to go up and get it, like even if it's not on time, even if it's not in stride. Like I think stylistically Odunze is the better fit for the Cardinals, and I think his skill set is more of what they need, especially if they keep Hollywood Brown around. So I like Odunze to the Cardinals more than Neighbors, but I like Neighbors a lot as well.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. I honestly I hadn't thought as much about his fit on the Cardinals as I had just
Like him
which
better.
of the two guys do I have ranked higher.
It's both for me, I think.
Yeah.
Rome.
You can't like both of them equal.
I think you can.
No.
Okay.
You got to pick one.
My bad. I'll never say that again. So we're all in agreement for the first 4 picks.
Lame.
I'm okay. Matt, who do you have? Who do you have first?
I have Neighbors.
For the Chargers
at
at
5.
number 5.
I have Neighbors.
Neighbors. Okay. Yeah. So Theo, who do you have?
Terrion Arnold.
Golly, no.
Why?
Why? Name a Chargers corner not named Asante Samuel Jr. There's Michael Davis, but he's a free agent.
I don't disagree they're weak at corner.
They have no answers there at all on the roster. It's Asante Samuel, and then it's Michael Davis, who's a free agent, Dean Leonard, Essang Bassi, Jasir Taylor, and Amechi Ozudinma, and Raheem Lane.
Dean Leonard can play.
Dean Leonard can play. I just think
I just fundamentally disagree with
that's
going
fine.
Need-based this high, and I also I haven't sat down and watched all the corners film like you have yet. So
I haven't watched.
Get away with this one for now.
I've watched one game of Terrion Arnold. Studied
well,
it.
then the ball. Nate Wiggins has to be better, man. From what I've seen, because I've watched a fair amount of Alabama, at least broadcast during the season. There is no way Nate Wiggins. I think he's got to be cornerback one.
This is kind of where it strays from maybe what I would do, and I'm just trying to project some weirdness into the draft, because there always is weirdness in the draft, and I knew that you guys would probably go Neighbors, which is a pick that I would probably make. But in a mock, I'm looking at the Chargers roster, and there are just so many holes. They need a tackle. They need a tight end. Bowers is out there, obviously. They need a wide receiver. But I'm like, in terms of like some of the positional value at the top and the answers they have on the roster, it's like I kind of think they really need a corner. And then I look at Arnold. He's 6 feet tall, crazy athlete. Like the dude can just flat out move. Really nice hips, really nice change of direction, length. He can be physical with you. Like he gives up some catches that we've seen when we've gone through Alabama's film. But I'm like, man, this guy is going to check a lot of boxes for NFL teams. And then again, deferring to some of the other, analysts out there who've done more work than me. Like I know that he's Jeremiah's corner 1. And I was impressed with him when I started to study him a little bit more. I'm like, okay, this guy, Georgia was trying to take him down the field, like with posts and stuff. Like it just had absolutely no chance at all. Like he was just moving around so well that I was like, I could definitely see a world where some team says like, we have to have him. Like he's just too athletic. And the Chargers that they drafted a wide receiver so early last year, their defense has been so bad these past couple years. And I just was like, I'm going to go with a guy that I know everybody's projecting him offense. I know everybody wants to get Herbert a weapon. If they keep Mike Williams around and Keenan Allen and Quentin Johnston, I wonder if corner is the more pressing need. And I think that he could be the top corner on a lot of teams' boards and really climb throughout this draft process.
Matt, I'm going to let you rip this, but I have a question for you also, Theo.
Yes.
Okay. I think it's fair enough. He has moved up a lot of people's boards, and I haven't watched the film of him, so I can't really sit here and be like you're objectively wrong. I just have my
before I've really sat down and watched him, I thought Arnold got targeted a fair amount. Maybe I'm totally making that up, but
I think
I definitely
his man
agree.
coverage grade on PFF is 61.2, which is
I
not
wouldn't be
good.
picking a guy at 5 unless he was really, really locked down. I mean, I guess you could say that about whatever. I don't know. I agree that them not going receiver is more likely than people are thinking. Like, it's so widely mocked right now.
Exactly.
And that is, a fair point to make with your pick. I would still go with Neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah,
I think Neighbors is a better
my thing is, like,
prospect
if you're gonna go corner, why are you taking Arnold over Kool-Aid, who is the other Bama corner we saw frequently when we were watching, like, all these teams
I think that
play against Bama?
athleticism starts to play into it. I just think that he's got a little bit more juice.
And then what about Cooper?
I don't know. I just think Arnold, just having watched him.
Yeah,
there's a reason we're only doing the first 10 picks, is like, we haven't watched that many guys yet. But when I watch Arnold and I see what some of these experts are saying about him, I'm like, this is a guy that could go very high in the draft. Like, he just has that lockdown profile. Like, he just has that type of athleticism, really. And that's what it comes down to. I think DeJean, from what I've seen and heard about him, he's more of a versatile beat. Play him in the slot, play him in out wide, play him at safety, like, play him at kick returner, like, do all these different things with him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's what gets you drafted at number 5. I think if you are a 6 foot tall corner with easy long speed and can cut on a dime and trail people, like, and are good in zone coverage, like, I don't know. He definitely, I think with this pick, it's more to just raise the alarm on the possibility, like, it is not a stone cold lock that Herbert gets a weapon. Like, I can get that none of us like Quentin Johnston.
That would be so funny,
I don't like Quentin Johnston.
Really
I would
crazy.
way rather have Neighbors or
God bless
probably Bach Bowers. That was kind of my runner-up, was Bowers. But
Yeah, I could see Bowers.
But I'm like, I don't know, that defense, just like, you heard the names of their corners. Corner is kind of a tough guy to find in free agency, right? Like, it's a rare position to be good at. Those guys, you never let them walk. Like, I think you can kind of find a wide receiver 3 or a tight end maybe, like, at a different point. But if you're trying to get your number 1 corner, or even an edge, like someone like Latu or Turner or someone like that, like, I could see them going there too. So I think that there's no shortage of needs for the Chargers. And when you stack them up, like, wide receiver might not even be the biggest one. So if they have a similar grade on any of these corners, I could see them making what would be a shocking pick right now.
I don't know, man. I mean, Keenan Allen and Mike Williams are both in the final year of their contract.
Yes, they could both be out the window.
And they're not exactly the healthiest duo of all time.
But if you let those, but I'm thinking, like, what if they let those guys walk? Like, there's just no talent on the roster if they let those guys walk, right?
But are you extending those guys? Like,
I just let them play out their year if that's what they've got. Like, maybe I wouldn't cut them, right?
This year.
There's a chance that they cut Keenan for cap savings, and if they do that, then the door swings wide open. Like, then we really need a wide receiver.
I just think at the 5th overall pick, you have to think past year 1. And if you're Harbaugh, you certainly are thinking past year 1. It's possible.
I don't know. He might be in jail past year 1.
Oh, that's very true. He might be in jail during year 1, so he really won't care what happens. I think it's possible that
he's going to Ditka the draft and trade all their picks for one for a running back.
Yeah, man.
I think they could maybe say, like, there's a lot of receivers in this class and we want to invest, but we've already invested so much, so we'll, like, wait till the 2nd or something. I don't think you're wrong in the sense that, yeah, it's probably more likely they don't go with a weapon than people think, but I would. That's why I made the pick there, and I think they should.
I'm not mad at you. I mean, I'm not beating the trying to be
Okay,
different
good.
allegations here. I just think the thing about the draft is like it's always like off the wall bonkers. So I do like
Right.
to,
It always
to
is
try
different
to
and crazy.
mix that into my mocks by just like being like fuck it.
I'd
and
like
pull the
that
trigger on
if they
something weird.
if fan bases accused their general managers and front offices of trying
Trying to be different.
Trying to be different would be.
But that's basically Belichick did not beat those allegations.
No.
he
didn't.
never beat the trying to be different
Do
allegations.
you know how much money the Chargers would save if they were to cut or trade both Keenan and Mike Williams this year?
It would be a lot of money. I mean, I know it's been a very
It's
real
$43 million.
conversation. So they could do it, but then they just don't have any then they don't have any wide receivers or corners or defensive like
Here's the
interior
list of free agent
linemen or
receivers.
linebackers
Mike Evans,
or
Odell Beckham, Curtis Samuel, Tyler Boyd, Cedric Wilson, Kendrick Bourne, DJ Chark.
okay, Mike
Listen,
Evans
Odell,
moves
Quentin
me. I don't
Johnson,
know.
and Blake
The list
Corum at number
list gets
5
pretty frail
offense.
pretty-
Where's T? T is in there. Anyway, let's move on to the next
yes,
pick. I
T
think
is in here
move on.
too.
I'm not going to
T
talk too
and
much
Calvin
about
Ridley.
why I have neighbors to the Giants. I just slotted him in with that next pick. Their receiving core is pretty weak. I thought about potentially a quarterback, but I really thought about a quarterback, honestly.
That's what I did.
Yeah. Okay.
I said Daniels. It's tough.
Daniels.
Well, see, in my world, there's no neighbors. You could go Bowers and take the weapon, and Lord knows they need more juice in the receiver room still. But I think if you're Dabo, at a point, it's going to come down to when are you taking your swing at quarterback, right?
Yeah.
And there's a few ways they could go with it. They could maybe try to be the Fields team. They could, scour free agency. Is Cousins a possibility? Does it have to be this offseason, or could you wait a little bit longer? You just gave Daniel Jones that big contract. Maybe you wait one more year, but there's just no guarantee that there's going to be another opportunity if you wait, because next offseason, very, very early, it doesn't look like there's going to be a strong quarterback draft class, right? And
true.
we're looking at a guy in Daniels who definitely has, I think somebody actually tweeted this about, the Looney Tunes hits. He's maybe not the strongest over the middle of the field all the time.
No.
So there's some concerns there with his game, but he's young. He's super talented. Feels like you could try to, develop him and mold him. If I was able, I would want to at least give myself that shot in my head coaching opportunity rather than rolling the dice on Daniels again, or not on Daniels, on Daniel Jones again, which I just feel like I know is going to come up snake eyes. I feel like I know that's not going to work.
Yeah.
So give me the opportunity. What they did, getting to the divisional round and winning the 11 games, they could probably do. I don't know. Could they do better than winning 11 games and making the divisional round with Daniel Jones? Not unless the roster was just berserk, man. I don't know. I think it's probably a little bit of a reach, but at the end of the day, it's not Madden. You can't just move down to the perfect spot where you're drafting them right at your value, and you only get one pick. So I think Daniels is absolutely good enough to be, like a game-changing type quarterback. I'd give it a shot.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a good point about the quarterback class next year where, there is no Caleb, there is no Drake May, who we were all excited about coming into this past season, right? So that's definitely a factor that I didn't take into account probably enough. But at the same time, it's almost comical how little they've given Daniel Jones to work with ever in his career, the wide receiver position. Like, it's still Isaiah Hodgins, it's still Darius Slayton, it's
That's
still
very true.
I mean, it's still Sterling Shepard on the roster. I mean, there's just never been a weapon that on the outside to throw to for him.
It's 100% true.
I think with Shern, who just gave him this contract, and Mara, the owner, who just gave him this contract, like, they've got to look at that and say, we've never given him
the guarantees so short.
Yeah, maybe they.
For specifically this reason, in my opinion. Look, and Daniels, it's like, has he been mega consistent under pressure? I don't know. Like, does he take some sacks sometimes? Like, yeah, like there's some questions, and I feel like I'm not complete with my opinion on him. But as it stands, man, it's like I would just have a hard time getting excited about the offense if they don't go quarterback in some way, shape, or form. I know that's like a really like, oh, you got to have a new quarterback. But like, dude, we're going on year 6 of Daniel Jones.
It's been a long ass
the weapons
time.
are bad. Like we know what it is, And Daniels is at least a big talent, and a Giants offense that does a good job of making things easier for quarterbacks. Like I think he could be really successful, and you could try to hope develop him more. So we'll see what it looks like around draft time and how that develops. But for now, like, yeah, I would want the Giants to go quarterback, particularly if all 3 of the wide receivers are off the board.
If Neighbors were here, would you take Neighbors?
I don't know. Maybe. I'll say no.
Yeah. I don't disagree with any of that at all. I do think that even at 6, it's a little high for me with Daniels. One thing that concerns me about Daniels is his decision making, and it's not so much through the air. He's got like whatever Jameis Winston had. He has whatever Jameis has, but with as a runner.
It's hilarious. It's so fun, man. It's so fun to watch.
Like there are picks,
man.
There are picks that Winston throws where it's like only Jameis. And then there are hits that Daniels will take where it's like only
like
Jaden
all of
Daniels.
them, man. It's like more hits than not. It is the most ridiculous thing you have ever seen. It's 100% true.
Yeah. It's like Stafford
it's so
when
bizarre.
he takes a sack or gets hit after getting thrown. It's like the most violent play you'll ever see.
And here's the thing, man. It's like, and I know I just had him as a pick, so I maybe I should be positive because I'm having him taken high. But like,
you already were positive.
I wonder how big of a deal that could be. Like, I almost wonder if a team sits down and thinks about it and says, he's going to get hurt. Like, I'm so confident in it. He's going to, maybe that's the NBA side of me where it's like, if a guy is injury prone, like he's a little bit more likely to actually get injured. Like it's going to happen. You can't get through all those games. But I look at, Fields was a guy where it's like, he got banged up some in college and he ran a lot. And you're like, if he does that in the NFL, he's going to get banged up. And he has been. Daniels is like, more ridiculous than maybe any quarterback prospect we've ever seen, for sure, right? I mean, there's nobody who can even come close to comparing.
Levis took some big. Levis took some big.
Levis took some big hits, but not like, dude. He was not. Was Levis hurtling?
He may have done that this year, though, in the NFL.
You know what? He did, didn't he? I think he did. I think you're right. All right.
Levis was up there, but Levis slid. Levis slid in the draft. Obviously, we all remember.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. My heart was initially set on Bowers here, but just to go best player available. But I
think that's totally fair, even with the Waller stuff. I agree.
Yeah, Bowers is a beast. Yeah, and it would definitely factor into my decision. I mean, I'm not super in love with Daniels. I see the hype for him with number 3, and I pretty vehemently disagree with that, really. I think that in the first round, he deserves a place because he's so fast and his placement on the deep ball is so good. So that's just inherently kind of that stress on a defense where if you're super good at throwing the go ball, you got to go too high and protect the sidelines. But then if you take that guy out of the box, like there's a real chance that he runs. So you just place him in there and like he's automatically stressing the defense. Like that's why I love running quarterbacks. I always have because of that math, really. So I love that about Daniels, and he's accurate. His pocket presence isn't like his pocket presence. He's not a bad decision maker all the time.
It's just
something. It's just when he runs, he loses like. It's seriously. I'm like your risk mitigation is like horrible.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like some guys they take a sack and it's like, okay, well you just don't have the juice. Like you just can't feel it. You can't deal with it. At Daniels, it's not that. He's just kind of he's trolling sometimes, man.
He is trolling.
Theo, you said you think 6 is still a little too high for Daniels. At what point would you think Daniels is a reasonable selection?
Well, the
I
big
would
ones start to
say
get.
I would say once you get into once the blue chippers are off the board, we'll see how far that is. Like,
Yeah.
there are some dudes who are in kind of the middle of the
Well,
first round.
who are the blue chippers then?
Yeah, exactly. Or not even the blue chippers, but there's a certain amount of first round grades that you give to non-quarterbacks, and I don't know exactly how many of them I will have, but like Newton out of Illinois, like I'd rather have him than Jaden Daniels, or I might rather have.
I love Newton. I think the positional value takes over for me there. I don't know. It's a tough one, man. It's not an easy decision.
No, it's definitely not. But I think usually in the drafts that I've seen, once you kind of get out of the top half of the first round, you're starting to take guys with like, I don't know, even if it's the first round, you're kind of out of like lock first round grades, and you might be taking someone that you're not totally in love with.
So you're more like back half of the first round type.
Yeah, I think Daniels for me, I'm not really. I think back half of the first round is where I'm at with him. I just think targeting the middle of the field, the injury risk, the decision making on the ground. He doesn't have like all the arm slots and just like the wonky releases that the top creators do in the league, like Allen and Mahomes and Lamar. He is a bit more linear. Like he's nice. He puts a lot of stress on a defense. But for me at 6, I just would rather have a guy like Neighbors. I think like maybe I wouldn't, because of like I might get fired if Daniel Jones is my quarterback, and I'd rather have Jaden than Daniel Jones, I think. But if you're the Giants, I'm just gonna slot them in with a weapon that they've never ever been able to have, like since Odell Beckham got traded away. So that's really all it comes down to for me. That one was quite a long debate. So let's get to the 7th pick, the Tennessee Titans.
Who
do y'all? I'll go first. I went with Dallas Turner, the edge.
Yeah.
Wow.
Over an offensive tackle.
I went Olu Fashanu.
Very understandable. For me, what it came down to was they've just spent so many resources on offensive line and corner these past couple of years. I think 9 of their last 14 day 1 and day 2 picks have been corner or offensive line.
I think that's, in my opinion, I think that's sunk cost. And I think we're still high enough to where anything other than BPA. I mean, if the Ravens had
that mindset,
I think
Turner
over Fashanu is not going to be like an unpopular take at all. You know, I've seen plenty of people with Turner way, way, way high. But Fashanu, dude, he is a beast, bro. He can really, really move out there. He's huge. His ability to reset himself and his base is just ridiculous, man. He's not perfect, but his mistakes feel more like things you can clean up rather than like, okay, well, here's his glaring flaw. You know, like, okay, well, this guy's just like leaning in every time, or this guy's hand placement is just terrible. I don't feel that way about Fashanu at all. In fact, I think his hand fighting, his patience with his hands is incredibly good. It's incredibly good.
Yeah, so he moves them independent too. Like he'll hit that inside jab and then bring the second hand down low.
Or he'll
and
be
get
able
it
to
in
like
his
dodge
chest.
with one. You know, he'll.
He works his hands more than Alt does, really. I thought that he was way more advanced with his hands than
some of those Alt clips are so funny, man.
Alt,
he's kind of a funny looking, not in terms of how he
like
actually
6'8".
looks, but how he plays. He's 6'8", and he squats way down, and he's very.
He is very well. He's a length merchant, is what I think. He's a pad level and like length merchant, which is like very good things to have. So the merchant label is just kind of me fucking around. But it really is what he does, where he like just kind of sticks his hands out and like leans forward. And he's like so long that is just like, it constricts all the space. And then it's like really hard to get around. It's really hard to get around him.
And that's a positive.
So you can hear how terrible this player is, bro. I mean, oh my God. No, it's like the jogging equivalent of playing offensive tackle. That's how he looks, man. It just like,
Oh my God.
it doesn't look like he's trying that hard. A lot of reps that he's winning. It just doesn't look like it's.
No, it's
right.
easy for him. He just his base is all. Are we talking about Alter Fashanu?
He has. If there was offensive tackle Twitter, he would be offensive
Bag.
tackle bag Twitter. He'd be the Giannis.
He is literally that is exactly what crossed my mind when I was watching Alt. I'm like, he's like a generational like footwork and length merchant and doesn't have a bag as an offensive lineman.
Oh my God.
Anyway, this is not Fashanu though is also super long and also super big and also like gets out of his stance super well and kind of mixes those things in a little bit more.
Yeah, I think he's a beast.
Yeah, I think that he is a good pick for the Titans for sure. But Dallas Turner, or go ahead, Blaiden, who do you have?
I kind of think I like taking an offensive tackle here, obviously, but if we wanted to mix things up, Theo, I think this would be a good place for a corner to go. I know they've put in a lot of resources into corner before, but man, it is just such a weak point for them. And just their secondary in general, they need some juice there right now. And I haven't watched the corners enough to know,
especially
which one
down on the
is.
outside. Like they've taken kind of these smaller, like Molden and
who did you have? Who did you have, Blaiden?
I was gonna say, I don't know which one I would want, but either Arnold or Kool-Aid. I haven't watched him enough to know.
You can't not pick a player.
Fine, I'll take
They don't
Kool-Aid
send
then.
in the draft card and
Since
say,
Theo took Arnold, I'll take Kool-Aid.
Trying to be different. That's crazy.
Whichever one you think is
fair enough.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think, and it's again, it's like, Theo, your idea was like to mix things up a little bit. My idea is just like, if they need both a tackle and a corner.
I mean, they need a corner in the worst way too. Like their secondary is like they're
both.
It's also a new front office, new group we're getting in here with
their
Vrabel
drafting
gone.
has been so ass recently,
and that's why they're a bad team.
Yeah,
many such cases. Yeah,
it really comes down to that.
Really bad.
Yeah,
I just they've just poured so many resources into tackle and corner recently that I feel like they may want to just let some of their young players maybe cook for another year. I don't know though.
Maybe
I don't think it's an unfair thing to predict.
And then Turner is the reason, like he was a 5-star. He got better every year at Bama. I did a review on him earlier and I gave him like a low grade. And now I'm like trying to think back on like why I did that. And I just don't know if I was super valid to do so because he can win all three ways. Like he can win around the edge. He's super long. Like he can power through you. He's pretty comfortable dropping into coverage and like he's got some counters as well. So I might have to reevaluate.
Turner's a little bit smaller, and he's not good against the run.
Yeah, he is smaller. He is a bit thin. But as a pass rusher, I definitely think that I've seen him go crazy high, or top 10. I shouldn't say crazy high because I haven't seen him go too much higher than this. But yeah, he's been mocked in the top 10, and this is really just like a pick before where he is probably most popularly mocked, which is to the Falcons at number 8. And with the Falcons at number 8, I went with Latu.
Latu?
Mm-hmm.
That's
just
entirely
very
fair.
polished, big ass, like, and counters on counters on counters, like really good with his hands, like the most disruptive pass rusher in this class. See no reason why a team that's lacking a pass rush like the Falcons do, like why they wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, I went with Jared Verse. I think
I also went with Jared Verse.
He's one of the more complete edge rushers. I haven't watched all the edge rushers entirely and completely, but we've been through
we've gone through a decent amount of them.
I've seen film on all of them. I just think Verse was a beast and could win in a lot of different ways. You know, good physical profile. He slipped a little bit. I think he was kind of viewed as like a top 5 guy early in the year, and then now not so much. But I still view him as my number 1. So
That's fair. And a lot of edge rushers have kind of slipped in there. And really a lot of college players in general slip after they get a ton of hype. And that's the truth. That's the truth with basically anybody. Like there's a reason why you don't see back-to-back MVPs. It's just when you have a season where your stock gets really high, it's basically like an MVP caliber season for a college player. And then it's just tough to repeat a really high level performance like that, especially when everybody's aware of you. And then we saw that with Will Anderson, and I think we saw that with Verse. Verse is a great prospect. I love Jared Verse too. So that I'm not mad at that. But Latu was more productive a little bit. He was causing major problems at the Senior Bowl. I mean, I don't know who the Falcons would prefer. So I just gave him one of them. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I think they brought in Raheem Morris, who's not so much a 4-down, pin your ears back type of guy. Like he might want a kind of a movable piece or someone who can kind of drop or get in passing lanes. And Latu's like super tall and long and maybe a bit more of a funny type of player and versus like almost a Bosa type. Like you'd want him in a 49ers, like 4-3, just have him edge rush all the time type of guy. So, but I guess I don't really know, but moving on back to the Bears.
Back to the Bears. This is another great reason to take Caleb Ermey at number 1. You can build around him with a really good piece right now. Like, I don't know, man. It just
who do you
seems
have?
pretty. Well, I would take then. Oh shoot! Because I took Bowers earlier. That sucks for me now.
You can build around him with a great piece. Yeah, what great piece.
I was like, wait a second, I just took Bowers.
Troy Franklin, number 9.
Yeah.
Overall.
Yeah.
I have Bowers here for the Bears.
That makes a lot of sense.
Him and I know they have Komet, but Bowers is like juiced up Kincaid and
you can move him around and top 10, you get a prospect like Bowers. And you come up with Caleb Williams and Bowers, you feel really good. You can move them around. BPA ball this high in the draft. I 100% agree.
Yeah, you could be in 12, Cole Kmet attached to the line. Like you could have it be Kmet attached to the line and then Bowers in the slot and then throw some nobody out there on the end and then have DJ Moore as your X. Like you've got two guys who can play off of each other well, like two tight ends, and then your X. Like I think that formationally, it's okay to live in 12 personnel a good amount of the time. That's what the Bills did. I think that pick. I had some reservations about Kincaid and like the value of taking a tight end like that, and like, well, he's just kind of a slow slot receiver. But I think I was proven wrong with Kincaid's rookie season. Like he was super valuable over the middle. They were able to find lots of ways to get him the football. He was productive as a rookie, even though it was a bad year for like rookie tight ends never do anything narrative. Like Mayer was pretty quiet, but
just starting to become not true.
And Laporta were like really great. And then not that long ago, Pitts went for 1,000 yards his rookie season. Right. So I think you can take Bowers and almost treat him like a wide receiver who can block a little bit on the perimeter. And Bowers is as good of a receiver prospect as there is, man. Like his technique, choosing what catch to attempt in the moment. His yak is ridiculous. Like the moves he's able to put on people, just super cerebral player. Great technique as a blocker. He's a bit thin, so he's not great in line, but like he gives it his all. And he's at Georgia. He was their main piece. They were targeting him more than anybody else. Tons of different ways, getting him the ball in the flat, off motion, like all the kinds of exciting schematic things that like the Dolphins are doing and the Shanahans are doing. Like he just fits right into that. So I love Brock Bowers. He's probably my fourth favorite prospect this year after Marvin and the two.
He's pretty high up there, man. It's pretty natural for him. Although I was glancing at it, Kincaid more receiving yards than Kyle Pitts this year.
Yeah, Yeah,
I did not realize it was quite like that, man. But yeah, I agree. I mean, everybody loves Bowers for a reason. You can see it instantly. Total beast.
Yeah, they could also go with someone like Newton, who I think is amazing.
Yep.
As a pass rusher, they could go with someone like Verse, who I think is amazing, or
I'm
Chop,
telling you, man,
I
the
also
first
like.
about 15 or so picks here, give or take a few, real strong in this draft, I feel like.
Yeah, but Brock
Yeah,
is,
it could be
is
a
my
home run for a
selection
lot of
for Daniels.
teams. I would take Brock if he wasn't off the board for me. So I guess I'll go Latu.
Maybe you can trade. You can mock up a trade with the Giants.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Giants are getting.
That's where
the
Fields
Giants are getting.
goes.
This pick in Fields for
Hey.
to move up in the draft.
To move up to get Bowers, and the Giants come back and they can get like Latu, or they can get whoever, man.
I can do something.
They'll get Troy Franklin. I don't.
Yeah. And then to round out the top 10, we got another New York team, the New York Football Jets. I think I have a funny pick here.
Okay.
I took Jaden Daniels.
I knew it. No, I knew it. Rodgers is like 47 years old.
They're Green Bay East, man. You're gonna try to Jordan Love the thing like on a shorter time period, and this is kind of your time to do it.
No, because Rodgers would throw
Unironically, I
a
love
goddamn fit if you did that. He would throw a fit if you did that, wouldn't he?
I don't fucking know, man.
Oh, yeah, he would.
But you only had to deal with him for like one. Like, what's he gonna do? Demand a trade? Like, he's gonna play ball for your team.
They just give up with the Rodgers stuff to 4 snaps. They're like,
they just call Rodgers and be like, "You just make the fucking pick, man. Like, go knock yourself. You built the rest of the roster."
I have Joe Alt, because they'll want to protect Aaron Rodgers, is my guess, and they need a tackle badly. And we already tackled Rodgers. I think that'd be so funny if they took a quarterback, though.
Taking Daniels would be hilarious.
That would be.
But they're going to need a quarterback very soon. And like you said, it's not a great year for quarterbacks next season. I think Daniels does need a little bit of work. I think talking to a guy like Rodgers and having him sit like Love did would make some sense.
A guy like Rodgers is doing anybody any good, man. I'm not gonna lie.
He's like, we're talking about his decision making for taking hits.
His decision making is not getting better after talking to Aaron Rodgers.
You're right. You're right. I guess one thing that could be a problem is he is kind of an older prospect. Like, he's got to be older than me, considering that we came into ASU together.
Oh, let me see.
So he's got to be. I see a lot of these prospects that were born in like 2003, and there's no way that's true for him. He's got to be like 24. He was really young when he went to ASU, though. Like, he was
if a
like,
draft prospect is older than me, I don't want him.
Happy birthday, by the way.
Born December 18th, 2000.
Yeah, that's not like obviously like crazy old, but for this draft class, he's got to be. I mean, he's got to be older than the other top quarterbacks by a decent bit, or at least by like a year or so. I don't think that should necessarily.
Penix and
Rodgers might get hurt again.
Is he older than Penix and Bo Nix? This is the real question.
I think they're all like 23 or whatever.
Yeah, true. This is kind of an older class. Anyway,
except Williams and May aren't. I don't know. Who cares?
Yeah, I already talked about what I don't like from Daniels, but I do think that it's possible that those things get ironed out in the league. I think some time to sit would be okay. I mean,
there's no reason why he can't get better
power
over the middle of the field. I 100% agree. It's not like he's.
Ian Rappaport just tweeted the Chargers are expected to hire respected offensive mind Greg Roman for a prominent spot on the staff of Jim Harbaugh.
It's the least surprising news of all time, really. What does this mean for Terrion Arnold? I don't know.
It means they're drafting.
Okay, what is this?
Blake, I'm changing my mock to Corum at number 5.
Yeah, facts, man.
I think Roman is gonna. If he was like their run game coordinator, I'd be pumped, right? Like, he can do that. He did really good work with Harbaugh back in the Kaepernick days, and hopefully they would have some other voices in the building, perhaps designing the passing offense, and it doesn't have horrible spacing and wide receivers don't hate playing there. If Roman is there, that would bode poorly for the drafting a receiver at 5 narrative, because they'd be like,
if he is the offensive coordinator, yeah, man.
although they did draft Hollywood in the first round, so maybe it's just wide receivers don't necessarily want to play with Roman instead of they won't invest in it. But
they wouldn't be getting Mike Evans, that's for sure. Ruin his 1,000-yard streak.
Yeah, I don't. It might hurt the wide receiver in free agency narrative if he was their OC. But anyway, back to the Jets at number 10.
Back to the Jets.
Yeah,
I like the Joe Alt pick. I think the Daniels pick is hilarious and I love it. But I mean, Alt is
valid.
Yeah, I think Alt's still a really good prospect. I mean, he gets out there incredibly quickly, and the long arms and the pad level, I know it's all he's got, but it's good to have, man. I know he's a fraud, and none of his pressure.
He's too tall and too long, and
none of his clean pockets should count. Yeah, I know he's bagless, but it works, man. It works. There's some strength concerns on some stuff. You posted that. I don't disagree at all. And he's 6'8", 315. So he's pretty long. At 6'8", you could get pretty big if you wanted to. I wonder if he wants to add on more weight or no.
He definitely has some issues, I think, at the point of attack. But he's so good at anchoring. His feet are so special that even if he loses initially, he'll just find a way to keep his balance. So
right.
I don't think that my alt hate isn't really hate. I just don't think I see him mocked number 3 sometimes, and
I think it's just I think that's just this tackle prospect's really good, and before the end of the before the Super Bowl happens,
no one really knows what exact, or at least for me, and what I see on Twitter and before I watch, it's tough to know exactly what a prospect's flaws are when they're just regarded as well, he'll go top 5, simple as that.
Yeah.
And then people start to get it in their idea it's just just this prospect is just amazing, and he just is. But Alt does have some weaknesses that I thought were. I was a little surprised to see them kind of glaring as they were versus Ohio State, but it was very clear that he had some, like I said on Twitter, a very special lower body and length and pad level and balance. So at number 10, if they made that pick, I would not really bat an eye. So.
Okay. Yeah. Didn't hurt.
So.
But.
Said it.
Yeah, that's the top 10. And it will go exactly as we have stated here today. Nothing will change between now and the last week of April.
Yep, it will go Williams, May, Harrison, Adunze, Arnold, Neighbors, Turner, Latu, right. Bowers, Daniels. Perfect.
Yeah. I see no flaws.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're going to be in Vegas. I mean, by the time some of you are listening to this, Theo will probably already be there.
Be there. Yeah, I will be there bumming around the city. If you're in Vegas, come say hi.
Yeah, he'll probably be in bored. A Starbucks Vegas, watching. Who are you going to be watching tape on?
Probably the 49ers and Chiefs and cook. Okay. I'll probably spend that 7 hours trying to cook up
questions.
Cook up some questions so I can follow up my. I'll try not to have a sophomore slump with these press day moments.
Yeah, you killed it last year, man. So we're you got
the best place to be is when expectations are high.
Yeah, man.
Rex Ryan said something like that. So I'll probably be watching Chiefs 49ers.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're in Vegas,
or maybe I'll try to Nardwar some Kittle question and try to DM every single person that he follows, looking for information to surprise him.
Just say random word. Doing. It's how do you know that? I'm Theo Ash NFL. It's my job to know.
It's your George Kittle. We have to know.
Oh, is that it?
I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll ask him about momentum, actually.
Yeah. Fair enough. Well, we'll be in Vegas, so if you do see us, come say hi. We might have access to a table that is up in the air. But
I don't think our listeners will have access to Radio Row.
Oh, well, I don't
Maybe
know if it's
they
like an
will.
open. I don't know if it's like an area where people can like walk through and see stuff. But
No, it's
Okay.
credentials only where we'll have
Okay.
a table. It's
all right.
So
Fair enough. Well, regardless, if you see us walking around, come say hi. We're generally decent people.
Matt's not.
But yeah. Yeah, don't say hi to Matt. No.
If his cheeks are rosy and he's smiling, say hi. But if they're not, then don't.
But if I'm walking around with a little
Any
rain cloud above me, stay away.
That's If you catch a glimpse at Matt and he looks at you and shoots daggers from his eyes and his look pierces your soul, just do not say a word. He is not in the mood. He needs his morning coffee.
I've been known to yell at people, "Shut up! I don't want to talk to you," and I run off. So
Well, yeah. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll probably go live at some point later in the week to talk about some of the stuff from, Radio Row and all that, ahead of the Super Bowl. We'll still put on an episode Thursday morning like we always do. And yeah, just getting ready for the Super Bowl. Super exciting stuff. And until next time, we will catch you on the flippity flip.